pulled away. You see Rocco there was making some pretty good moves in the S's, and they were just kind of swapping positions each lap.
And these are the three that are enthralled in the championship battle right now. And Davis looking really, really strong, but an aggressive move right there by Rocco Landers, and slots himself right back into the lead. Davis was able to get back once again. And you can see some fascinating issues unfolding in this one. And Rocco then started at one point, it looked like, to start to have a little bit of an issue with his bike, like it was down on power. And you can see Davis diving down the inside into that newly, for this year, refreshing chicane. Rocco's still in a battle with his teammate Gus.
Yeah, at each lap through this part of the track, Rocco would take the lead. But like you said, running into those mechanical issues on the bike, every straightaway he would give the spot back.
Yeah, and you can see he had a little bit of frustration, but great corner speed. A little moment right there by Blake Davis, and that allowed Gus into second, and then Gus drafting to perfection, sweeping around Rocco, getting his win, third one of the year for Gus, and that propelled him into the points lead, folks, and it is really close. This is a great championship unfolding. There you can see it, Gus up by 8 points now over the defending champion, and then Rocco Landers only 14 back.
Yeah, it's just so close, and then also with the rain, we talked about it a lot. It's a great equalizer. There's going to be some guys that we don't see up top in the dry as much who's going to be going really fast in the wet, so it's going to be interesting to see who steps up in the tricky conditions.
Yeah, and they are tricky indeed. There is a look at Rocco Landers, who will start on pole. He was a second clear of the field in the dry yesterday, but dialed it up and was really good in qualifying. But late in this qualifying session, he did have a bit of a moment here. That's that sketchy section right there, and went down, but he was pushing it. He was digging deep. He's not a fan of the rain, and he was at that time top two.
Yeah, and it was a great qualifier for Rocco, because he has been kind of slow in the wet before, not really liked it. But he has stepped up like a champion does, like Rocco is.
Yep.
You know, accepted the challenge today and was really fast until that little crash. And for him, he kind of knows where it's slick now.
Yep.
But he has to feel good because he could do the lap times.
Absolutely, and he hurt himself too about a week ago, so that got exacerbated, Jamie. He's got a lot of challenges ahead of him here.
Yes, and you talk about pushing those limits. Rocco certainly found them this morning. We talk about going into the race, the conditions that everybody out here has got to deal with. What did you learn in morning warm-up to help get you through it?
Well, I learned that I kind of like the rain a little bit, I guess, but I was having fun. Team has a nice rain setup for me, made a few changes. I'm glad I was able to find the limit this morning, just so that I can be as prepared as possible for this race. Conditions worsened a little bit, but the wind's going to probably blow some of this water off the track. And honestly, I'm just in it for the race. I'm riding my own race right now. I'm not focused on anything except riding my bike.
And the rain isn't the only challenge that you're dealing with right now. You also, just a week ago, you broke your ankle. You're spraining your ankle, broke your foot, broke one of your toes. How do you manage that when you're on the bike?
Advil, lots of Advil. So sponsor me, guys.
Rocco Landers, our pole sitter, always looking for that little bit of extra. I'm going to move over. Starting second is our championship points leader with 3 wins this season, 9 podiums. It's Gus Rodeo starting second. The rain, though, what do you do to get through it?
I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's kind of just a race of survival today, and stay smooth, stay consistent. You know, see what we can do. It's a championship can't be won today, but it can be lost today. So stay consistent, stay smooth, and see what happens.
You mentioned the points, the championship. You're 8 points ahead right now. You say you can't win it today, but you can certainly lose it. How do you think about that when you're out there?
No, definitely not. I just think about the task at hand, and that's get through the race and get through it as fast as possible. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, we're in the best spot right now, and we'll take it from there.
I'm going to move over. Starting third today, finishing out our front row, Blake Davis on the number 1. He has 1 win this season, 7 podium positions. You struggled yesterday with the bumps. Now the bumps are all wet. What do you do to get over them?
No, I really like the rain. I've been having a blast. I felt really good in qualifying too, so I'm excited to see what I have for the race, and hopefully I'll be able to put it on the top step.
Having that qualifying session this morning in these conditions, what were you able to learn?
Really just, you know, where some water would gather and stuff like that. You know, really valuable stuff for the race going into it, and, you know, just knowing the track never really ridden here in full wet conditions like this, so should be fun.
All right, we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. You hear the horns. Some motors are starting to fire. We're going to get going pretty soon here, Greg.
Yeah, and it should be a good one. They've reduced the length of this race just a little bit. It'll be a 10-lapper at this stage from what we understand. And Blake, talking about he likes the rain, it showed, didn't it? I mean, you look at, he had qualified third in the dry yesterday, went to the top in the wet. Rocco, who was on pole and isn't admitted not a fan, was a very strong second, led it for a lot. As you take a look at the points there, the guy who's maybe going to be struggling a bit here was Gus Rodeo, qualified second in the dry, but this morning in the wet was only he could only muster 11th. So it's going to be interesting to see if he could stay up front.
And this is a track that he's been to a couple times in the wet, local track, so maybe he knows it and didn't really push it this morning like he is during this race. But all three of these guys are going to have to, really try to collect the points today and ride around and kind of see what the other one's doing. If somebody makes a mistake, you can't make one as well. You're going to have to capitalize if you see the guy making a mistake, slides off. So there's going to be a lot to keep up with. The track is going to change as well. And for Blake Davis, I think this rain kind of works in his favor. He's really good in the wet, and he's been a little bit off this weekend compared to those two guys.
Yeah, and he's so smooth. We watch Blake ride, and that's going to really help here. We just had a nice shot there. Jackson Blackman qualified 5th and was solidly in the top 10. So, we've got some interlopers out there that are going to be capable of doing some stuff. Jacob Crossman, who in the dry is qualified 11th, and Cassidy Heiser, who qualified in the 10th spot, were right up and knocking on the door of the top 5. And as a matter of fact, Cassidy Heiser was 4th. So these are the guys that can, get up there and, affect the championship just a little bit here. And then you throw in the mental stress that these are all going to be dealing with here, and especially if we get one of those bands of rain moving through.
And that's the thing. You're going to see a lot more names in there. Spencer Humphreys was fast this morning. So, a lot of these guys in the wet, this is their opportunity to get a win, and they're just going to go for it. So, somebody kind of further down the grid, they're not in it for the points. They can come here and get a win, and it's stressful. You wonder why guys try to lock up the title early, and this is the reason why you come in one of these races and it's stressful.
And remember, even though that, we were talking about how they ran this morning, by far and away, dry qualifying yesterday is how they are going to start here. And so that front row is Landers, Rodeo, and Blake Davis. And that's the top 3 in the championship battle. This is how you want it, right? Top 3 guys in the championship, top 3 guys on the grid. It's battle time.
And today, like Gus said, you can't lose it today. And for him, he being in the lead, he can be a little bit more cautious than the other guys. But Rocco has to make up 14 points, so he's not gonna. He wants to be cautious, but he's going to take a little more risk than Gus.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to have to. And okay, they are off for their warm-up lap. They'll head around, come back, and it will be time to go racing here. Twins Cup, second to the last race of the season.
REV'IT Twins Cup coverage is brought to you by REV'IT Apparel, Design, Innovation, and Performance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
All right, Roger, let's take a look at this track. We've talked about it. Relatively short, 2¼ miles, challenging in the dry, treacherous in the wet.
Yeah, challenging track, really busy track. When you see the track map come up, you'll notice not really a lot of long straightaways, but there's definitely some tricky parts on this place. Kind of where these guys are at right now, headed into turn 5 there, is really slick. If you watch the track here, the track map there, the very first chicane, you see turn 3. Likes to puddle through there into 5 as well. On the exit, got to be really careful on the throttle through there. Through 6, 7, 8, 9, pretty good corner in the wet, and then turn 10, another one we've seen a lot of people, have some issues. It's really tricky there with the patch, and from there it's just real. Even though it's wet, want to get that good run on the front straightaway, and that starts out at turn 10 through that fast little turn 11.
And look at that, 8 right-handed corners. They say 4 lefts, only 2 of them are true lefts. So that left side of that tire does not get a lot of heat on a lap. It's chilly out here today. Let's take a look at the starting lineup. And Rocco Landers from that great qualifying run yesterday on pole by over a second on the number 97 Robum Engineering Aprilia. The rodeo racing rider, Gus Rodeo, the 96, starts second. Blake Davis, defending champion on the N2 bobblehead Yamaha, starts third. Dominic Doyle, good qualifying run on the ISO Yamaha, in fourth. Jackson Blackman on the Blackman Racing bike in the 5th spot. Ben Glotty returning after his big crash at Daytona and really doing a nice job. Filippo Ravelli making his second appearance with a very fast Italian. Spencer Humphries, Hayden Schultz, Cassidy Heiser, quick, along with Jacob Crossman in that wet qualifying this morning. Chase Brown, Ryan Wolf, Dallas Daniels, big story there. Top rider in the Mission Twins Pro Series in the American Flat Track, coming back and having some fun here. Aiden Sneed making his debut in the Twins Cup category here, and you can see a number of the other riders there as well. Chloe Madrill is absolutely delighted. She said, I want to get in here, I want to qualify for this after having run Royal Enfield Build Train Race last year, and she qualified for this for the first time. So, all right, here we go. Grid has been cleared, signal is ready, red lights will come on. As always, when they go out, we're racing. Twins Cup, we're green. What a start by Blake Davis. He just absolutely launched, Roger, and he's going to lead almost comfortably down into turn 1.
And terrible start by Gus Rodeo there in the middle of that front row. He is outside the top 10 before they get into turn 1.
And Dominic Doyle, really solid start from that 4th spot up into 2nd, but Blake already has about 10 bike legs on this field. Absolutely superb start by Blake and doing everything he can. And Jackson Blackman up into the 3rd spot as well. So a solid start from him, coming from 5th. And then Ben Glotty right there in that 4th spot. And Glotty going to drive up and underneath, making the move down into turn number 4, and got it done before having to try something in that treacherous turn 5.
Yeah, and Blake already has pulled about a second of a gap. So he's going to come around on that front straightaway and see his pit board and see he's got a nice little gap, and hopefully from there he can kind of manage it. But you see Rocco also, he's faded down barely inside the top 10 as well.
Yeah, just hanging on back there at this stage, trying to come after him. There's Blake, and you can see the margin, although it looks like Dominic Doyle has taken a little bit. And a big lunge there. Don't know if he got it done. But really aggressive riding here, as you might expect. That's the 67 of Cassidy Heider. We talked about he qualified 10th. He was fast this morning, and he's working his way up through this pack already. And in attack mode right now. That's Cassidy, and right in front of him. Oh,
see Jackson there, that turn 10. You talk about it, not the patch right there that you can see it, but also not very many left-handers. It's hard to get heat in the left side of the tire, and you see Jackson there was able to save it.
Is that Cassidy making another move? Black. No, that's Cassidy, I think.
Spencer Humphries.
Or is that
maybe?
Spencer Humphries, maybe? It's tough to see the numbers in this. Was really, really quick. Let's see who comes across.
No,
it was Cassidy, I think.
Yeah. Man had such a good race going.
Yeah, he knew it, too. He was coming up. And that would have been, I think, for 4th at that spot. Let's take another quick look at it here.
Just first rider in your screen, just got in there. With the water, it just comes around so fast, so the front end washes out so quick before you even get a chance to save it. Looked like a front end tuck.
And now that grass is so wet and sodden, it almost acts like gravel on the bike and just grabs it and flips it. And watch that bike dig in right there.
And for the rider in the grass like this, when it's wet, it's like a slip and slide. You just keep going.
All right, well, good news is he's up, walking away, but angry and frustrated, I'm sure. Whoops, somebody else down, 15, Aiden Sneed, who was really impressive in his debut. This is the first time he's ever run. He's running a junior cup and got the opportunity on that Wagbar MP13 Yamaha to run. Was really impressive in that morning wet qualifying, but found himself off the track there, unfortunately. Keep an eye on it here. He's right there. First bike now on your screen. That's into yeah.
And he was in the top 5 at that point.
He was. Yeah, no, he'd had a great start as well. considering that he had originally qualified, obviously, a fair bit farther back than that. Not that bad. He was pretty impressive in qualifying, but it opened up a really good run. But right now, Blake Davis up by 1.8 seconds, at least he was last time by. And how about Ben Glotty? What a performance Ben has put on here after basically sitting out the entire season.
And what about Dominic Doyle? Second last lap there was a little over a half a second quicker than Blake. He's only a second back, so still plenty of time for him, able to close the gap. And this has been really impressive from Dominic so far. He wasn't really that fast into the warm-up this morning, or that second qualifier, but he's fast right now.
Well, and the interesting thing was he was I want to make sure I've got this right. He was 19th in dry qualifying. No, that was 19th this morning in that wet. So he's found something here, hasn't he?
He only had 3 laps this morning in the wet, so this is even more impressive. Just not getting a lot of time, but right now he's riding really well, and you can see just doing the right thing, slowly chipping away at that lead.
And here is, if the race were to finish at this moment, here's where the points would be. And Davis opening it up, grabbing the lead from Gus Rodeo, and Rocco falling a lot farther back. Rocco currently in the 6th spot at this stage. And, you know, Dominic's here. He's not really in the championship, obviously. You know, there are still positions. He's 5th in the championship, so if he can move up to 4th or whatever, he'd love to do that. But he's not going to be too concerned about working his way around any of these championship guys. He's here to win.
Yeah, he's here to win. I mean, for himself and then also the team.
Yeah.
He wants to get this win, so he's not in it for the championship. And so if the opportunity comes, he's going to make a move.
There's that really treacherous patch here, and then here's these little flicks as they go through here. And here they come, this duo, and he's definitely closed it up. It had been 1.8 seconds a couple laps ago. Now it was down to 6, and now it should be. See where it is as they come across this time. And actually Blake able to open it up just a little bit here. And then there is Ben Glotty. And you know, he had that huge off at Daytona, injured himself, required surgery, admitted that when he got pretty much over the surgery that he wasn't sure his mind was right, and he had some thinking to do. He's come back here, and it's like he never left. I think it's really impressive what we're seeing.
Really impressive and awesome to see him kind of step away for a while, get healed up, and come back and be so fast. Not even just in the wet, but also in the dry. He's been really fast.
He absolutely has, and sitting in a 3rd spot right now, albeit quite a bit back. These lead duo right now have just opened up a sizable margin. It's a little over 7 seconds from Dominic Doyle back to Glotty. And then you can see the rest of the field. Here comes Spencer Humphreys, and then there is Rocco Landers, and he has got the 49 of Hayden Schultz, who's really pushing him right now.
A couple guys behind him. Rocco now top 5, and even Gus has closed it up to Rocco. So there's a lot of points up to grabs right here. You see this pack of 5 guys, they could change a lot.
Yeah, Gus has dug deep. Now he's trying to, just saw Gus in the background trying to figure out a way to get through on Jackson Blackman. And he is pushing it here. And did he get it done? He's inside anyway. I think he did.
Looks like so there was some mud on the track there as well, on the edge of the track. But last couple laps, Dominic Doyle's been a half a second quicker than Blake, but Blake's got his head down this lap. Personal best 1st sector, red sector, sector 2, fastest of the race. So he's trying to get that gap a little bit, see if he can get himself a little space.
And here is, you can see Rocco, then that little bit of a gap back to Hayden Schultz, but behind him is Gus Rodeo. And starting to put that pressure on as they've both gone around on Jackson Blackman. And so now you've got Landers in 5th, Schultz in 6th, and Rodeo in 7th right now. And every time Rodeo makes a pass, that deficit he would have if Blake wins gets reduced. So even if he doesn't win, he's just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and just make sure he gets a finish today, most importantly. And he's doing the right thing, taking it as it comes and not forcing the issue. He actually rebounded really well from that bad start that he got.
He did, and it hasn't taken him that long. We're at half distance already. Again, this race just slightly shortened here, and doing a nice job. This is a great great battle right now. And Rocco, he knows Hayden's there, and I'm not sure that he obviously realizes that Gus has made up some ground. He wouldn't necessarily know that Gus had lost a lot either at this stage, but big implications here. And you know, Hayden Schultz kind of in that same scenario, 6th in the championship, is not in it for the championship itself, so he's just going to go out and win. And if that means taking some points from somebody, so be it.
And these guys kind of seem a little bit quicker than Rocco, but they just can't make the pass. You see Hayden starting to get a little bit impatient.
Yeah, and he's just watching up front. You can see Spencer Humphreys has eased away just a little bit. There's that dirt and debris you were talking about.
And Avery Dreyer, his first weekend in the Twins Cup, he's kind of closing down on this 5-rider battle. You can see him right there toward the end of the screen there, 99.
Yeah, great story. Won the championship in the Junior Cup at our most recent round at Circuit of the Americas, and got the opportunity from the team to step up and give Twins Cup a try, and has acquitted himself along with Aiden Sneed, making that move extremely well. And you see Rocco, he just totally avoids that patch completely, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's where he had his crash this morning. You can see just kind of giving up a little space there and just making sure he doesn't take a risk of going over that patch.
Something just flew off one of the bikes. It's laying in the middle of the track underneath the bridge. Don't know exactly what it is. And wow, boy, did Davis open that gap up. He just put in a stellar lap, Roger.
Yeah, fastest lap of the race of 46.1. Now he has a 2.5-second lead over Dominic Doyle with just a couple laps to go. As you see, Dallas Daniels running in the 12th place on the Estenson Monster Energy Yamaha. Great ride so far for him. Hasn't been road racing much in the last couple years, or if at all, and just jumping in to have some fun.
Yeah, and then gets into a scenario like this with his weather, and he started in 15th, and he's worked his way up now into 12th, so doing a nice job out there. And you know, we were talking with Josh Hayes during our Coffee with Creamer and Hayes segment, and he said the one thing that could help him, might help JD Beach in these conditions, is recognizing a changing track and being able to deal with it, but he just doesn't have the experience right now. But Blake Davis once again up front, and that lap, boy, did he gap him. He's putting another huge lap together, isn't he?
Yeah, another personal best, sector's best of the race so far. This lap here is going to be another lap, fastest of the race, and at this point he needs to watch his pit board and make sure he doesn't do anything crazy. He's only going to have 4 laps left, and he's going to have a pretty big gap.
Last time by it was 2.5 seconds. See what it is this time as he comes through, lowers the fast lap again by a bunch, and it's up to 5.2 right now. So Davis doing what he needs to do. And here's that gaggle, if you will.
And Gus now has made a pass. Something must have happened where these guys kind of made a mistake, and Gus was able to get by.
Yep, Hayden Schultz and Rocco Landers have been kind of close quarters here, and Gus Rodeo took advantage there clearly. And Spencer Humphreys has faded a little bit too, because he was in front of this group for a little bit. That's going to certainly help Gus and Rocco, with Gus now in 4th, Rocco in 5th. But for Rocco, he needs to find something in a hurry here.
And you can see how many points Gus has made up. A couple laps ago, he was 10 back.
Exactly.
Now he's only 4.
And meanwhile, Rocco has still 20 points out of it here, and there's only 25 available per for a win. So he's got to figure it up. We understood that may have been a problem for the 99 of Avery Dreyer. That's a shame. He is really shown here in his debut on Twins Cup.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he's having a really good ride so far, and some good experience he got today in this first couple laps of this race.
And that's really why he's here, isn't it? Is to, if he's going to make the move to Twins Cup next year, is just get a little feel for it before he heads into the offseason, know what he needs to work on. And watching now, Hayden Schultz.
You see Jackson Blackman in the background with the big save, as Hayden was able to make the pass.
He was. And I'll tell you, yeah, that big clump or that big bit of mud that's on the track right at the exit of 6 is really pinching that exit for these guys a little bit here. And now Spencer Humphreys is dialing it up and coming after him. And how about Ryan Wolf there in the 606? Really solid run for him to be up now into, let's see, he's worked his way up into 9th. So excellent run for him.
And knocking on the door right now to get in the top 6.
Yeah, exactly. From 14th in qualifying really putting in a heck of a ride on that Wolf Racing Suzuki at this stage. There he is.
You can see the spray, what it's like when you're behind a couple guys, how difficult it is to see.
Yeah, I mean, whoa, little moment there. Gathered it up and didn't go down, but lost 3 spots and a lot of track distance here. So it is fierce out there, and that's one of the things that obviously Blake has working for him is the lack of any sprays. Look at that.
Look at that spray, and then, you know, just if you're in front of these guys, you can see pretty good, but at this point, you can barely see the puddles and stuff like that, and you kind of got to stay to the right where you're out of the spray a little bit.
And we have 3 laps to go at this point, and Davis at margin still 6.6 over Dominic Doyle. They are just on another level right now, as there's another 12 seconds back here, and Gus Rodeo is finding some speed.
Yeah, Gus 45.5 that last lap. Pretty much the same speed as Blake right now, and this lap he's got a red second sector, so obviously he's found that speed, and that's going to be huge going into tomorrow's race too.
And, you know, I wonder if the reason that Rocco's struggling a little bit after having been so fast in that morning wet quali was the rain's a lot heavier now. And when they were qualifying, the rain, it was coming down, but it was lighter. And I think the conditions were a bit different. That's what we talked about. You just have to adapt.
Have to adapt, and even as the race goes on, you can see the rain there picking up. It's a little bit heavier than when the race started. So each lap, one corner can be different. The puddles could start to puddle up more from one lap to the other. So you just have to, it's really mentally draining these races in the rain just because you're just so focused.
Well, and you think about it, Blake Davis's fastest lap was basically a 1:45, and his last few laps have been 46s. One, because he's got a big lead, and he can see that if he can even see his pit board, and that's another part of the equation here. But also, you can see right there, you know, that's starting to puddle right there. And that just kind of gets that, you know, you just hydroplane for a second.
And in the rain, you're just a lot smoother on the brakes. You know, you'll brake a little earlier, but less, and you lean in the corners a little bit easier. And you just got to be softer all the way around, softer on the throttle as well.
And that's his riding style, isn't it? He is just incredibly smooth in any conditions, and that's going to pay big dividends here. And
Blake does a lot of track days and endurance racing as well. So, and there's a lot of rain, and he's got some experience, and he looks really comfortable in it. One more lap to go for Blake.
Looking really, really good here. That margin now up to over 7 seconds, almost 8 now over Dominic Doyle, as he comes around, completes lap number 9, 1 to go. White flag is out as he heads down into turn 1, all on his own right now. There you can see the margin back to Dominic Doyle, and that margin now up to 8.6 seconds. As well, I'll tell you, Blake again dropped into the 145s and right into 145.4 after having been in the 146s. So. But he just looks comfortable.
He looks comfortable, and he could be in the zone where he doesn't want to slow down. I mean, sometimes whenever you slow down, that's when you make a mistake.
But Dominic Doyle really doing a nice job for Team Iso here on that Yamaha, looking really, really good. As here comes Blake. Hard braking, and you got to do it gently here into turn 5. And right now, there's how the points look. So Landers hasn't been able to move up.
And Blake just did the best first sector of the race. I mean, I don't know if he's not looking at his pit board, but right now he has an 8-second lead. He needs to just make sure he sees the checkered flag.
Well, yeah, like you said, he might just be in a zone, and you know, right now he's saying this feels good. Ben Galati again, 3rd on his return. Gus Rodeo 4th, and then Rocco Landers, who is going to be a little bit frustrated here. He looks so good, but it's raining a lot heavier now. But it's all Blake Davis right now. That N2 bobblehead Yamaha just has been superb here in the wet. We heard him tell Jamie at the top, I like the rain. It was good this morning. I'm feeling good about it. Well, I should say he is. Last turn onto the front straight. Blake Davis, defending champion, taking another step to defending it, winning here at Thunderbolt Raceway on the N2 bobblehead moto. Yamaha, absolutely great run for Blake Davis here. Here comes Dominic Doyle. Really savvy ride for Team ESO. You can see him pumping the fist. A really solid second place. Then this is, look at this, Gus Rodeo has gone around on Glotty. This is huge for the championship, and comes through and takes the podium spot. And I'm not at all together sure that Ben maybe didn't wave him through.
And best lap of the race, last lap by Gus Rodeo. What a great race by him, falling so far back at the beginning of that race and then fighting through. Now tomorrow, you know, it's only down to a handful of points. Gus can go in tomorrow and win, and it's his. Absolutely. That was what a last few laps by Gus Rodeo. And Blake Davis, of course, absolutely delighted here. And I think Dominic Doyle is going to be pretty happy with that ride. Sure, he'd like to be closer to Blake, but still in all, up on the box in these conditions. Yeah, you'll like that, obviously. And there you can see from that camera shot just how the rain coming down right now, folks. It is pummeling just a bit here. It looks like winds have picked up a little bit too, maybe a little bit more gusty. And here you come. And there you can see Gus right there. Let's take a look at the pass here. Looks like they're in the turn 10, and Ben just moves up the track, and Gus makes the pass there on the inside. And do you think there that Ben maybe had looked back or had seen a board that said Gus was right behind him and Gus is in the championship? I'm not sure. It's pure speculation, but that corner is really tricky. So and it's easy to make a mistake, but also it kind of, you know, it could go either way. I guess it looked like both, really. It did. Yeah, it was interesting, but. You know, either way, I mean, you know, for him to give up the box to help the teammate out, if that's what he did, that's going to go a long way with that team for sure. But it is Blake Davis's day here in these conditions. He spotted that camera over there and gave a big indication. Yeah, going to do a little bit of a stand-up wheelie into the pit. So, wow, what a ride, Blake Davis.
Twins Cup coverage is brought to you by REV'IT Apparel, Design, Innovation, and Performance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Blake Davis making his way in here. And there you can see at the end, it was over 11 seconds he had on the field. Just a really, really stout ride. But Gus Rodeo, you pointed out, fast lap on the last lap of the race, sneaking around how it happened, up into third on the box and more valuable points. More valuable points and way to just slowly chip away. Yep. That could be a championship deciding ride. Him just coming from the back, picking those guys off. He was really far back on that first lap. So really good ride by Gus. And Blake, you know, just got out there, got a good start, never slowed down, even with the big gap, and was just really smooth. And he did what he had to do. He needed to get a win. He was darn near, Gus was, outside of that top 10, man. That after that start, and what a fight. I mean, he just put his head down and went after it. At a track that's tough to pass, and even tougher in the wet, was able to make those passes and come through and be patient, not force it. Like, you know, for a young rider, I mean, it's hard to get that experience and be patient and chip away at a race in the rain when you feel like the championship's going away because you see Blake pulling away and you get a bad start. Well, and the other thing, too, let's talk about Blake Davis real quick. You know, he's the defending champion, but yet we're seeing big strides by him in his approach to his racing. When he had to be this year, he's been aggressive. He's attacked, he's defended, but when he needed to be glass smooth, he was exactly that. What an evolutionary year, I think, for Blake Davis. Yeah, just being more aggressive is what, you know, like you're saying, just being more physical with the other riders. Yeah, absolutely. Well, helmets are off, and Jamie's there.
You guys said it, Blake Davis got that great start at the beginning. You led the rest of the way through. You said it before the race even started. You had the confidence. You enjoyed the rain. What role did that play in the race?
Yeah, I mean, I love racing in the rain. I had a blast. Just kept everything smooth, kept it on two wheels, and was able to come back with a win. I'd like to give a huge thank you to N2, Bobblehead, Westby, KYT, Dainese, Bobblehead Moto, all my other sponsors. I know I'm forgetting a few, but thank you all. Put me here.
Congratulations on that win. I'm going to move over to second place, and Dominic Doyle. He was 7 seconds faster race pace than you were in that second session of qualifying this morning. The team said this morning you went out, you just felt out the racetrack. In the race, what did you find?
Yeah, I just went out this morning to kind of feel out the conditions and kind of didn't know what to expect for the race, and I had a really good start and tried to just go with Blake, and it kind of worked out. He checked out there at the end, but I kind of got away from everyone else and stuck in there for second, so I'm really, really happy with that.
It was a great podium result. You hear the fans in the background. They're braving out these conditions, yelling out, Dominic Doyle rules. This place is amazing, the fans out here. I'm going to move over to Gus Rodeo, finishing third today. You made that pass right at the end of this race. It was huge for championship. How high on your mind was that?
Yeah, I knew when I started to catch Ben that I had to get it done on the last lap, and I ran a fast time. This is my first time riding the Aprilia in the rain, honestly, so I'm still getting used to it. Just trying to figure out a little bit, and I'm glad to be up on the podium. I didn't expect to be on the podium, honestly, but the more and more laps I do on the Aprilia in the rain, the more comfortable I get. So it's just another learning curve this year, and I guess it's all going to come down to tomorrow. We'll see what the weather looks like for that.
All right, congratulations. That is our podium for the REV'IT Twins Cup, Greg.
Well, thank you, Jamie. And I'll tell you what, I mean, he delivered a message with that last lap saying, I can run Blake's speed. I can do that. And that's huge for tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he has to go in tomorrow knowing if I get a good start, I can run the speed.
Yep.
And it's going to be, if it's like this tomorrow and Rocco struggles like he did today, it's going to be a winner take all between those two.
Well, let's take a look at the current points here. You see Blake, 1 point. You thought it was close coming in, folks. It's insanely close right now. Rocco's lost just a little bit here as he dropped about 4 points in the relative scenario here with his 5th place finish. And then you can see Dominic Doyle there in 4th, Jackson Blackman in 5th, and the rest of the field here. But wow, yeah, it's turning into a mano-a-mano battle for tomorrow here. But there's 25 points to win. Any issues for Blake and Guts? Certainly Rocco's not yet out of it. So this is going to be interesting. Let's take a look at some highlights from this one. And there they were aplenty. And it all started with an absolute rocket start by our winner, obviously here, and the bad start by Gus Rodeo.
Yeah, just a really good start, even by Dominic Doyle, a really good start. But you can just see how comfortable Blake was from the beginning of that race.
And you can see there Ben Glotty just having an absolutely fabulous return up into that 3rd spot pretty early. And you can see Cassidy Heiser absolutely on the move and working his way up through the field. And looking like there were some really big things. So you can see a little moment there by Spencer Humphreys. And then down went Cassidy as I think he had just moved in to the 3rd spot with that pass. And so frustrated. He knew he had something special maybe to do here today. He'll have to wait for tomorrow for that. But I'll tell you what, this is where some of that battling became really intense.
Really intense, and the championship was changing a lot as this race went on. But you can just see Blake today was really confident before the race, and he turned that confidence into a win.
And then Dominic Doyle here, the South African, absolutely elated with that run. And then here was Gus Rodeo up and underneath. His teammate Ben Glotty got a little wide in turn 10. And Gus jumped on that opportunity, put it up into 3rd. And as a result, that margin now 1 point between Blake Davis, your now new championship point leader, and Gus Rodeo. It's that close, folks. Tomorrow is going to decide it. What a way to wrap up a season in REV'IT Twins Cup here in New Jersey.
Hey everyone, my name is Alex Arkangelski, CEO and co-founder of Break Free Technologies, and this is Break Free,